and you can get by if you have some good rodeos and stuff, but it's a labor of love. It's a lot like ranching. You got to work hard to make it break even. Like, that's our goal a lot of times, is just break even. But they want to go with those people that have weathered that storm for 20, 30, 40 years, because like, you're still putting on a show. And that's all rodeo is. We get so trapped up in what we like and how we want to be perceived of it, or I'm the big dog, I got my chest out. It's entertainment. I see a lot of people doing that, and I fall into it a lot. Like, I gotta get this. I'm like, what? Like, you don't have to, you're just being busy. You're just moving that panel for the fourth time just to do something. Like, take a break.
Welcome back to the Wealthy Cowboy Show. Today we have Chase Love on. We're going to talk a little bit about the rodeo business, ranching, and business in general. So how's it going, Chase?
Man, it's good. Good to be here.
Yeah. So tell us about your background. I know you got your hands in several different things now, but kind of tell us about growing up and how it all came about.
Man, we've had a family ranch for 75 years there in Goldthwaite. Auction business. We used to strictly run livestock, and then they're back in the late 80s when all the interest rates were crazy. I think my dad told me, like, right when I was born, it was up at like 23%.
Yeah. And I think there was a drought in there too, and a bunch of stuff. There was some hard times in the 80s. I think.
It was really good, yeah. Like, I remember sitting on the porch, and when I was a little kid, and like, there's no Christmas presents type deal. We were feeding about 2,000 cows and probably 50, 60,000 head of sheep spread out everywhere, and goats and stuff. And they were kind of a big deal in that market, and we lost it all. And they just picked themselves up. And I mean, I didn't do nothing. I was just a little kid, but my parents went back to work and built 2 really good businesses, 3 actually, real estate, equipment auction. We've been there about 38 years. And my mom had a really big garden center business in a town of 1,500 people. Like, people would come from Austin, Dallas, down there, and she worked real hard at it and built it up real big. And, just watching them just struggle, then, I probably didn't see the struggle. They just got right back after it, and try to carry on some of that today.
It's funny too, like when you're thinking back to like to my childhood, and I hear a lot of stories like people growing up, and it's like when you're a kid, you don't know, like, you really don't know if you're poor or rich or, where you stand. You're just like,
yeah, we're just here.
Yeah. You're just here. You're just taking it in, whatever your experience is. A lot of people say, like, we were poor, but we didn't know we were poor. We got to eat, and we had a house, and
yeah, we didn't know. Like, I'm 4 or 5 years old, and we had this old horse my dad used to rope calves and trip on a little bit, and his old babysitter, and he'd just send me out. And I'd never do that today with my kids, but like, we just roamed around and everything was good. And now you understand the struggle, and you can have some respect for those kind of people that had it all, lost it all, and they didn't have money growing up or nothing. So they made everything, and then that deal crashed down, and whether they should have, hedged their bet a little better, it happened.
Yeah.
But, they could have stayed down, and they didn't. And, that drives me a little bit. I've definitely got it easier because I didn't have to. I mean, we've all got the struggles from day to day, but I didn't have that struggle. I didn't lose it all. And, they lost a lot of land, like 4,000 or 5,000 acres. And I can't imagine what that was like, mentally having to get up every day and rock and roll again.
Yeah, that'd be pretty tough but yeah, they've built, that you got to be a part of, they've built a really cool auction business there. And now you're bringing the ranching side back again, pretty strong in the rodeo business. So how old were you when, when you were a kid, like growing up, what was your day to day like? Were y'all still ranching a lot, or was it mainly like going to town and handling the other businesses? Or real quick, if you're a listener of this show and you're serious about leveling up your income, your mindset, and your life in 2026, you need to join the Wealthy Cowboy VIP community. It's where the real action happens. You'll get exclusive discounts from our sponsors, VIP merch deals, early access to episodes, private Q&As, and I even pull questions from the group to ask our guests on the show. It's a crew of driven Western people pushing each other to grow. The link is in the description. Go join now and see what's happening inside.
We still ranch some on a lot smaller scale, and back then, like you said, we didn't know what we were doing. I didn't know if we had 10 acres or 10,000. And looking back, my grandpa still ranched some, and I was helping him and doing whatever. And he was old school. We had a bunch of land in the same area. We had when I say we lost a bunch, we were leasing a bunch and running a bunch, probably 50, 60,000 acres in different places and feedlots. And like they own the sale barn there in town. They had it and it was a cow sale and sheep and goats too. But I go help my grandpa. And he was really good about that. Like he was old school cowboy, like have a squeeze chute sitting there and hydraulic, whatever. And he would go build a fire beside it and be like, I'm going to town, get these cows branded. I'm like, it's 104. Can I just use the electric brand? But we'd move sheep or goats or cows, and instead of just pinning them and hauling them with the semi or whatever, and just drive them down the road. Mm-hmm. Let them eat. Let it take all day. At the time, you're like, this is awesome. Yeah. I couldn't think about doing that now. But,
yeah. Now we're in a hurry.
Yeah. But no, I always remember it being a lot of fun. I always had decent horse to ride. And
did that kind of hook you from early age? Like you knew you were going to do something along those lines?
Yeah. I mean, I think when you're born into that, I think it's the freedom and just being out there in the quiet. And like I have to deal with a lot of people, and I know you do too, but I think we're pretty similar in we'd rather just be at the ranch today versus talking on a podcast. But
it is. It's fun to go like see the world and go talk to new people and experience new things and stuff. But yeah, just going out and being out in the middle of nowhere and gathering a set of cows or something, like with a few of your buddies or something. That's like the most fun you can.
Oh yeah, there's nothing better. Like even like now, y'all come and helped us the other day. I didn't even have time to go over there, and a lot of times, like Ty handles a lot of things, and I just say I'm the grown up now, and I have to go to the office or do something I don't want to do, but you got to do that.
Yeah, it seems like to a lot of the guys I've talked to, like once you grow to a certain point, like you're more valuable in the office of whatever that consists of, in a ranching operation or a feedlot operation or other business. Like the guy running it a lot of times doesn't get to do the fun stuff or the cool cowboy stuff or whatever. They got to go be in the office, talk on the phone, work on the computer, and it just comes with it.
Yeah, for sure. Like the other day we were having a rodeo there, and it was a hometown deal, and I got a lot going on, and I think I had 115 phone calls from lunch till when the perf started, and I'm like, I need somebody else to do this. Like, can I just go back to the ranch or,
less responsibility.
Yeah. Less people interaction.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, I saw a quote the other day like that. Like a lot of people, it was like, what was it? A lot of people want the freedom, but they don't want the responsibility. I think that was it. Like you don't realize until you get into it. Like you want to make more money. You want more freedom, you want to build a business, all this stuff. But like, a lot of weight comes with all those things too.
Sure. We talked about, Mark rode up here with me, and we talked about that the whole way, like when is enough, is it worth all the headaches you're putting together? And I don't know if it is sometimes, but
depends on the day.
It's hard to sit at home too. And on the other side of that, you sit at home and you just feed cows or you ranch or check horses or do whatever. And after a while you're like, I got to get something going.
Yeah.
Like I think probably 10 years ago, I maybe owned a horse or two, and I said, I'm done with the livestock deal. And it lasted 6 months. And then it's just been nuts ever since.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I'm the same way. It's like, with like on the weekends, sometimes the weekends, like if we're not doing a whole lot, like we're at home, and I'm like, man, I'm ready for it to be Monday again, so we can get like some business going. Because like nobody wants to do anything, like no business stuff on the weekend, and I'm like, I'm ready to get a deal of some sort going. Whether it's
you nearly get like depressed if you don't have something going on.
Yeah,
if I don't have something. And used to, we traded a lot, like all the time. I was always buying, selling, trading, and now with the rodeo deal, it's like you're always just buying and you don't really sell. And so it's a different kind of stress because you're like, I got to buy this horse or I got to buy these set of colts. I mean, was at the NFR sale the other day, and the high selling horse is 185 or 187,000. I can't remember which one, but for a 5-6-year-old horse, that he's a 5 or 6-year-old horse. You know, maybe the greatest horse ever, but it's a gelding. You know, like can't do nothing with him if you don't buck. And so now you're trying to like, do I buy this set of 40 or 50 colts and go through them, or it's always some kind of stress on the other end of buying or selling. It's a lot more fun just to sell.
Yeah.
But when you try to buy
checks
and build something, it's a little more, you wake up every day and you're like, man, I made the right choice. You go to sleep or you go to rodeo and you're like, I don't think I made the right choice. And then the next week it'll be good again.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of ups and downs to it. I don't know. You get stressed out about it and you love it and you hate it. And you just got to I tell myself, you just got to keep going.
Yeah.
You know, got to love it. We do love it. There's no getting away from it.
Yeah.
I've tried. It's like you grew up. I mean, I've been around you since we were 15, probably. Roping. You used to wear that awesome grizzly hat.
Yeah. I've still got a grizzly too.
Yeah. Yeah. You just can't get away from it. I don't think. You just got to learn to enjoy it. And that's a hard thing when you get so busy and you got kids and still, you know, there's fires everywhere every day. And you're like, where's the enjoyment out of this? And then you remember it. You find it. And I think a lot of it is just hanging out with those good people. And like for me, that's what it is. Like good relationships. We have a small circle, but they're all great guys that they'd do anything in the world for you. And even if you have just one or two of them people, and I've got a little team of them, there's 4 of us that do this rodeo card deal, and they're spread out from Utah, Indiana, Colorado, Texas, and everybody's got your back and is pushing every day to make it better.
Yeah.
And it's a hard road in the rodeo deal, the pro rodeo world anyway.
Yeah.
So
yeah, tell us. So let's go back to that, like growing up, getting into the rodeo production side. Like I know y'all had a little bit of the ranching going on, and the auction business kind of grew up in both of those, and having those other businesses in town. How did you get into the rodeo production? Man,
it's something I always wanted to do, and I kind of just jacked around a long time, and I knew it was going to be a struggle and kind of a hard deal, and I kind of avoided it. And then probably, I'm 37, so I was about 19, I think. I bought my first bucking bull. Had no clue what I was doing. You know, shouldn't have been at that sale, and bought some bulls that weren't any good, and you know, like everybody does. But it just took off, and I found a little niche in there of trading, buying, selling, trading, and like I hate when people say I'm super honest, but we tried to run it that way. I think a lot of people don't like traders, and because a lot of them aren't good people, and they're just looking to make a buck. And I watched my parents, you know, build that auction company like that. I remember they sold a tractor one time, and it ended up being stolen and all this stuff. And this was back when our sales, you know, if we sold $50,000 worth of equipment for somebody else, just getting a commission, like we got to eat a steak that night. And this was a $25,000 tractor. And I watched my dad give that guy his money back and not get the tractor, you know. And I kind of took the same approach. And I'm sure if we're selling 200 or 300 bulls a year, you know, you kind of skip around, or cows, and skip a couple of years where we're trading heavy. We dealt in good stuff, and if somebody had a problem, I'd replace it. I always tell them, you know, like you buy a bull that bucks and he don't buck anymore, you can try him here at the house or something. But if you go screw him up, that's your problem, not mine. But, you know, you have a cow that won't breed, cool, bring her back. You know, to my demise, a lot of times, a lot of guys were like, oh, I forgot to tell you I'm selling out. Like, oh, that's convenient. Yeah, I got to buy this $10,000 heifer back now.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how it all got started. Kind of dipped around in it, and then I told myself, like, don't trade. I want to build a deal. Well, it was hot. Like, I would go to D&H's cow sale, and, you know, I would just watch. They'd sell a lot of lots, like full sisters or full brothers, and they sell a full sister of this certain bull for $10,000. Well, the next one rolls in at $6,000. Cool. And a lot of people are not used to the auction business. Like, I grew up in a sale barn. You know, I'm not a sale barn savvy guy, but because I really don't mess with commercial stuff. I never have. But
But you have the equipment auction, the same kind of mindset there.
Yeah, you have the same mindset, and you understand what's going on. You understand an auction. Well, so many people don't.
Yeah.
And people are looking for a way to not spend their money at an auction. It's they go in there and they kind of like everything's going on. They don't like, I don't even know what he's saying.
Yeah.
And so they would call me right after when they've had time to calm down and they can go look at their catalog. Well, I was just selling them right and left right after that. And I'm like, man, this is good. Well, then everybody kind of would just call me and like, hey, go buy these cows for me. I'll give you $500. I'm like, cool, that'll work. But it also hurt a little later on because people are so used to you being in and out of it and just selling all the time. Mm-hmm. It's not that they didn't take me serious, but I would haul them bulls. I would start going to these futurities with yearling or 2-year-old bulls. And we didn't keep them long enough to let them grow up and be big bulls. I mean, that's where the money was because you can start bucking those calves at 6-7 months old and kind of see what they're going to be. We buck them one time, kick them out for a couple months or put them back in the feedlot and then go to working on them. And there's events usually starting in the spring of their yearling year. And you can go as many as you want to. Then we started doing that, and I would go season a calf a little bit. I mean, just like a rope horse or something, go get a win or two under his belt, then sell them. And that became easy. But at the same time, you're always building something for somebody else. Mm-hmm. And a little later on, we started growing our own herd, and we ended up with, they can multiply. We ended up, I think our max, we were running 650, bulls and cows and couldn't get them all bucked, $50,000-$60,000 a month feed bill on them, and the droughts and everything else. And anyway, I had a guy that was partnered with me and he was a good partner, but he liked to do some other things. And he said, if you want to buy me out or we need to sell out. And I'm like, man, I don't have the cash today to buy you out. And I had met a guy named Jody Shaw, and he's actually on our rodeo card now. And he come in there and bought them all. And I've been running them for the past 2 years, and he's about to take most of them. But it turned into a really good deal. And I don't think I'll say this on here where we have some documentation, but I don't think I'm ever going to make that sale again to one person. Yeah, not going to try again. But that's kind of how it all got started, and it just kind of snowball effect.
Yeah, really just kind of trading more on the bucking bull side, and not even, you weren't really thinking of producing a full rodeo then, I guess.
No, not at all.
DX Trailer Sales is based out of Lubbock, Texas, and it's definitely not just a trailer dealership. If you are involved in the Western way of life, and if you're listening to this show, you probably are, they have something you need. From trailers for a day working cowboy to a full-time cattle hauler to hay trailers for a farmer or rancher to arena drags, rope and chutes, and feeders for the rodeo cowboy or cowgirl. They also deal in every kind of hay any of your animals could ever need. Literally anything you need for farming, ranching, or rodeoing, they have something for you. And it's gonna be at a super affordable price. Besides all that, everyone you deal with there is super friendly and helpful. We just got new custom flatbeds built for our pickups, and I also got probably the coolest trailer you've ever seen built. And you can stay tuned for a video we're gonna do, and it's gonna show all of that and some more of their products also. So check out DX Trailer Sales on Facebook or dxtrailers.com.
Yeah. That's always the dream, and it's kind of the holy grail of it, and that's what you want to do, but you don't understand truly what it takes. And during that time, I was partnered with Terry Walls on his card. It lasted about 6 months. It was a little, Terry had some health problems and some brain tumors, and it was always really good. We were kind of neighbors nearly, and that was taking a toll, and it was a little hard to do business with each other. And so I let that go and thought, well, it kind of burned me out a little bit. And I thought, man, I'm not going to do that. And really, I should have just stayed with it because that's all I've wanted to do.
Yeah.
So
how did it progress? Like, how did you progress into the horses and kind of into full rodeo production?
Well, I've always liked the horses better. Like, it sounds weird for a guy that trades bulls, but I could give, I don't care about watching bull riding.
Yeah.
If we're at a rodeo and bull riding's going on, I'll be working somewhere else. And
yeah.
I know we were at Tarleton at their college rodeo the other day, and we'd actually just took bulls over there. And they needed help at the strip and shoot. And I go back, I'm running the strip and shoot, and a couple of them college kid bronc riders walk by, and they're like, "What the heck are you doing back here?" I said, "Job needs to be done." Like I said, I'm pretty sure he can flank that bull by himself, And but the horse deal, there was never any money in it as far as trading. Like the bulls were so easy, you could just get one and rock and roll with him one way or the other.
It seemed like it was real hot too. Then probably maybe when the time you got in, like I don't remember the years, but like I was working at some of those futurities in the back and stuff, and it seemed like those were hot. Come on, like everybody was getting in the buck and bull business.
Yeah, I want to say probably 08 or 09 I got in it, and it had just crashed. Like 04, 5, 6, it was wild. I mean, you could have a calf that I would send to the sale barn after bucking him 2 or 3 times, and they were selling it for 20, 30,000. It was just insane. Cows were bringing that, and they still are. Like certain, the top end guys will sell their calves for $100,000 for half interest, and it's still pretty wild. But
Yeah.
I mean, that takes a long time. Like the people doing that, they've been in it for 30 years, and used to we didn't understand that. It's like I've got the same genetics. The cows came from you, this and that, and it's like they're not buying that animal per se. They're buying that you've stuck to one of the hardest businesses there is, because there's no money in it.
Mhm.
Like everybody talks like there is, and you can get by if you have some good rodeos and stuff, but it's a labor of love. It's a lot like ranching. You got to work hard to make it break even. Like that's our goal a lot of times, is just break even. But they want to go with those people that have weathered that storm for 20, 30, 40 years. And one of my good friends, I was kind of kicking his butt all year, and he had a sale, and he probably sold 50 or 60 head, and they averaged 6, 7, 8,000. I had a sale, and they averaged 3 or 4. And I'm just kicking rocks, and this is dumb, and what's going on? Poor me. And his name's Gene Baker, and he's a great human. And he said, "Well, bud, sometimes it just takes 25 years." And I was like, got it.
Yeah.
As soon as he said that, I was like, all right, I'm going to shut up and go back to work.
Yeah, we want it all like immediately, instant gratification, but it's in anything, like you just got to build that brand and that credibility to get that name out there. Like nobody knew your program. Like you said, it can be exactly the same. I tell people that too, whether it's they're wanting to do something on social media or in business or something. I'm like, you're doing all the right things. Like it just takes a little bit of time to kind of all catch up.
Oh, the rodeo deal's a long game. We started a brand new card, and it's the hardest way to do it. Like, and they don't even sell them anymore. I think they sold, I don't know if we were the last card or the next to last card they sold, and then they've shut it down. But you go in there and you give them $67,000 pretty much for a quote card, and it comes on nothing. And you got to produce 6 new rodeos a year for 2 years. They can't have been a pro rodeo before. And it's a lot more expensive than an amateur rodeo, because you've got all these fees and approval fees. I mean, if we're going to have like that rodeo in Goldthwaite, I got $5,000 in approval and committee fees before we even get started.
And you got to add a certain amount too, right?
You got to add a certain amount. Now that we're off probation this year, but like the stipulations, you got to do 5 rodeos with 25,000 total added. But that just keeps your card eligible. Like you don't get to go to the NFR, you don't get to nominate for the NFR or anything. And if you want to do that, you got to have 3 rodeos with 50,000 added. And that's not too bad now. Now we know a little bit of what we're doing, but putting them 12 new rodeos on for 2 years straight, like that was not how I thought it was going to go.
Yeah.
It was way tougher. And I'm like, and we knocked them out of the park. I thought, we had the big screens, and I mean, a big screen for 3 days is 10, 12,000.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what people don't realize, the cost of like about 25,000 per rodeo is what it cost me just to break even. And we're not even paying ourselves, we're not adding what we get for our stock somewhere else. And you just learn to look at it's a long game. It's a really long game. And you either love it or you don't. And if you don't love it, you don't need to be in it, because it'll eat you smooth up.
Yeah. Yeah. And like lots of things. I mean, that seems to be, a recurring advice is like whatever you pick, like whatever you're going to go into, you got to love it, because there's going to be lots of hard days. No matter what you pick, it's going to be lots of hard days that you want to quit, and you got to have a reason deep down to keep going.
Yeah, for sure. I don't love the auction deal. I grew up ranching and getting to rope and rodeo, and hunt coyotes, my favorite thing to do. And you're just like, got to stay after it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the auction deal or any, like, that's what my parents have told me is like, if you would apply all this effort, you know, and all this time and effort into something besides ranching or cowboying, you would make way more money.
We had that conversation like daily, I think, because the auction deal, I mean, yeah, we work hard at it, and me and my wife helped bring it, you know, kind of up to speed with the internet, and that really changed the game and allowed us to be in the rodeo business. But if I worked at that like I work at this, like, I don't know where I'd be.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd be here. I'd probably be in my big mansion in the mountains somewhere where nobody had my phone number.
Yeah.
But
yeah, like, what are what's the biggest struggle of like putting those rodeos on? Like anything, I've produced like some little ranch rodeos and stuff, and like I think a lot of people don't know like the behind the scenes. Got to have insurance, you got to hire the help. I mean, a lot of overhead. You know, if you're going to rent the place, if you're going to go add money, got to go talk to all the business owners and sell them on the dream. And
so I think the hardest thing as far as putting the rodeos on is that like when we start, like this is the first year we're wide open to where we can go put on a rodeo that maybe I got from you that the committee didn't like what you were doing and hired me. Well, I couldn't do that the last 2 years. So we're everything. Like I'm doing anything from weed eat the arena to try to get sponsors. And you're going to these smaller towns and they say, you know, we had a pro rodeo. Like, no, you don't have a PRCA rodeo. You know, other associations call them pro, and their budget may be $15,000 for prize money for production, and mine's $25,000. And you got to hire, like, we're a full scale, you know, production deal. Like I bring in everybody. Like if you were a committee and said, I want to have a rodeo at Gatesville, I'm like, cool, Crockett, you can sit back and we'll see you at the rodeo.
Yeah.
Like we bring the announcers, bullfighters, personnel, sound people, everything. So we've got 2 portable arenas. We'll set those up. Like we did some rodeos in Indiana and Illinois and Ohio. And every one of those is a setup deal. You know, Ty goes to Colorado during the summer and does about 80 to 90 perfs there. And a lot of it's setting it up, tearing it down. It's kind of like the long ranching days.
Yeah.
You're like, what am I doing? It's 2:00 in the morning. I'm tired. It's cold.
Yeah.
I'm hungry. I'm broke. So it goes back to that love deal.
Yeah, that's crazy that y'all just go in like at a park or something and set up a rodeo pen.
Yep. We set one up the other day in a park in Indiana. We got it all set up and we're like, hey man, it's going to rain. And they're like, cool. Like, you got a roller over here. Let's pack this arena down. And it rained 7 inches. You know, we're just walking around in like the sloppiest, nastiest stuff. I'm standing on the line during the calf roping and they're like, hey, can you come here a second and look at this barrier? And I like to have to get somebody to pull me out of the mud type deal. Yeah.
Yeah. What is it like? They it sounds like that like the main association, they don't want like new people coming in, like kind of protect the old companies in there. Or? Yeah,
there's a lot of the old guard, and it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like maybe they know something the new guys don't. There's a lot of people been in and out of the business. Like a lot of times you'll have a bull guy and a horse guy on the card, and the horse guys are usually ones that started the card. Or back in the day, like the bulls weren't important. They were like a rope and steer back then, and now it's a little bit different. But yeah, there is some of that, and you're taking jobs like, you know, maybe back in the 80s and early 90s there was 20 or 30 stock contractor cards, and now I think it's between 80 and 90, which is still not a lot, but there's 600 something rodeos a year. You know, you go to divvying that up a little bit, and there is a lot of guys involved, and then guys that come in and they blow in. And I heard a guy say that one time. He said, do you see that new guy pull in? And he had his stuff all over his truck and trailer. And he goes, yeah. He said, he'll be out before the paint dries. You know, and that's like, I'm seeing that now. And I understand a little bit of the struggle with that, but it is not shaped to be easy for sure. Like it was real hard to get going. You know, and then once you've been in there and you do a good job for a few years, you know, it changes, and You know,
It's
they want to
easier.
talk to you a little more. But I mean, I've been in this industry for, a minimum of 15 years and dealt with these same people. And I've talked to them all about it, and they're like, it's a 5-year deal just to start to get rolling. It takes that long to learn your horses. Like I wasn't a bucking horse guy. I always loved them, and I'm still learning every second of the day. And we were looking at horses for sale coming down here. Why is this guy selling them? What are they going to work here or work there? Because they're so expensive now, and you're already not making any money. So you got to be real careful and try to, like my deals. I like to buy a big set of colts or something, and go through them. And you give less money, you got to do all the work. But
Yeah.
that's kind of how we're set up. We've got enough financing and backing to do it, but we're not like the big guys and those guys have all made their money, and it doesn't matter if they made it or didn't make it. They got it, and that's awesome. I wish I had it. I'd bought that $180,000 horse too. But
Yeah.
you got to buy them where you're protected at your level, and that's what we try to do. You try to mitigate that risk as much as you can. But like I kicked a mare out the other day I bought from a friend of mine. I gave $10,000 for it, and that's not a lot of money in the horse world. Yeah, I mean, for any horse anymore. And I've got a drive over cattle guard going into a set of pens. And I kick her out in that front pasture and look up in a minute, and she's got both front feet in that cattle guard, just try to break both her legs. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. We had a horse do that same thing in a cattle guard.
We didn't know what to do. We're just staring there at her. I'm like, one of my buddies took off running to go. I said, all you're going to do is spook her.
Yeah.
I said, we're not going to help her in any way. And she got out of it, wasn't even scratched up hardly. But yeah.
Yeah, that's ours. Ours stuck both his front feet in the same pipe, and I think they were crossed. And we got to jack him with. Of course, we couldn't get his feet out. I was like, I don't know what we're like. You're gonna have to get a cutting torch, and then you go fire a cutting torch up. You're gonna scare him anyway. And I was like, we could dope him to where he doesn't get scared. Then if he lays down, I mean,
Yeah.
it was like we were just like, how are we gonna get him out of this? And then finally, he just freaked out, started pulling back, and popped himself out.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. A lot of that stuff with them horses and bulls, you're just like, y'all gonna have to figure this one out. There's not much you can do to help them sometimes, but
Yeah.
and that's what we do. Spend a big part of our time, gentle them down, run them through the chute, messing with them, sorting on them. Just you're always jacking with them, and till you get them where you want them, then you can kind of leave them alone. But
That's a big thing I think a lot of people don't think about is like you think the bucking stock is just wild, but like the big stuff, I mean, those are pretty gentle to handle, right? Because you don't want something that's going to kill somebody in the chute or something like that.
no, they don't put up with that anymore. Even a horse that stalls or something, they can write that horse up. Like there's so many rules, and the judges have to, and it is professional rodeo, so you want to do a good job. But if you're beating them guys up in the chutes and your horses are stalling and not working, it's just they don't want to come to your rodeo. There's too many options. With the bulls, it's a big deal to get them worked, and we end up buying some older bulls, but we'll raise a bunch, and we start them when they're calves and start them through the process of training. And by the time they're 3 or 4, I mean they've been seasoned heavily. Like we had one bull usually a bull that's a 4 or 5 year old, they're kind of starting to really mature. But we had a 3-year-old. He'd been to the PBR, the team finals, the world finals, 2 years in a row. So he went to 4 finals and went to the NFR. And he's just now 4. But I think a lot of that's from hauling them the right way, training them. I say train them. You're not training them to do anything. You're just kind of helping them to keep that gas in the tank. I always tell people, I'm like, you're going to go run track and run the 100. You're not running around the infield, jacking around with your buddies. You're keeping that energy bottled. And that's what we're trying to do with a lot of them, and they are wild for the most part, but you got to settle them down. Well, we got a bull now that was an outstanding PBR bull. Buck as hard as you want one, and you can go set on him, pet him, but it's bull in the next pen over might knock your teeth out, So it's all in their personalities, and some of them never get out of it. I've got some horses that are 10 or 12 years old, and I've had them for a few years now, and some of them will eat out of your hand, and the next one, I'm like, I have to rope you today to catch you. So they all got different personalities too.
Yeah.
And I think that's a neat part of it is you're not just dealing with like I helped a guy work some black cows the other day, and I'm like, I got to get out of here.
They're all just gentle.
Just gentle, and nothing's going on. There's no personality, and that's what's neat to be around them. It kind of keeps the adrenaline running too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what is y'all's program? Like you're saying, it sounds like y'all raise a lot of the young stuff, and I know I've helped y'all pin cows and stuff. So are you like ranching a lot of cows and raising those bulls out of them, and then horses also, or what's that look like?
It's funny. Every brand out there claims they've built the ultimate Western performance shirt, but most of them are more involved in other industries. Finally, there's one that actually is different. Introducing Horn Knot. One detail changes the game. This has literally never been done before. A patent-pending hidden zipper pocket with an extendable lens cloth, so you can clean your shades or your phone without untucking your shirt. It's simple, smart, and practical. I also like that you can fit your phone in the front pocket. And here's what I love. Horn Knot kept their designs classic, the most traditional pearl snaps you'll find anywhere. Great colors and vintage pocket designs. These are the same shirts I wear to work in, and you've probably seen me wearing them right here on the podcast. They even built a ladies line, not fake pockets or bad fits, but real Western shirts built to flatter and function. My wife Shady shows and works in these shirts, and there's nothing else like them.
Get yours today and save 20% with code Crockett at hornknot-brkwy.com. Horn Knot and Breakaway. Learn more at hornknot-brkwy.com.
Like right now, I'm raising, I think I weaned 14 colts the other day. Like I'd like to get that number up to 50. That's a lot of horses too when they start, because we don't buck them horses. You can dummy buck them a little bit, and there's futurities for the horse deal. And I've had a couple horses go win some futurities, but I don't like it because I think you take some life out of them. A guy said it really good. He said when you take those horses and they're young colts like that, and you want to overbuck them with the dummy just to watch them buck, he said it's kind of equivalent to a knock on the door and you're 10 or 12 years old and I slap you in the face. He said you're going to keep keeping that door shut. You ain't going to open it. He said I do that when you're 18 or 20, and he said you can punch back. He said hell, they might leave the door open.
Yeah.
And so that's what we kind of. You got to maximize everything. If you got some smaller colts and that probably ain't going to get big enough to rodeo with, because these pro guys, especially bareback riders, they pull a lot of rigging. The bronc riders too, they'll pull a tight saddle, and they got to be big enough to take it. They got to be big enough to haul them to here to California and rest for a couple days, and then take the beating those guys can put on them. And a little horse just can't take it.
Yeah, it seems like even the bareback horses have gotten bigger now.
Oh yeah.
You used to could tell a big difference in a bareback horse. A lot of times to me looked like just a regular saddle horse, and then the broncs are the big feather-footed. The saddle broncs are big feather-footed horses, but now even the bareback horses are big.
Sure, and bronc riding's always been the staple, but them guys have worked really hard getting the bareback riding going again. Steiner's had a lot to do with that. People feel one way or another about them guys, but they're killers, like everything they do. And it's brought the energy up, and these bareback riders they're going at them. And and they're whooping on them. Like they're not just running their old spurs up there and touching them. And they're poking holes in them, and you better be a bronc.
Yeah. So how old do the horses have to be to like start getting hauled?
Usually 4. I think Sankey's had a 3-year-old go to the finals more than once, but they raise great big horses. I've got some big 3-year-olds, but I still just kind of wait till they're 4, and we'll buck them sparingly, like especially a really good one. Like if it's a hunk of junk or something that's just going to be a horse or it's kind of real wild, like I'll send them with Ty for the summer, and he can, he's got 3 or 4 perfs a week. I'm like, just buck them. And they're all different. And some of your better horses, you don't have to buck them very much. They're going to show up and perform every time. And the old campaigners, nobody's going to get excited about them, but they're good, solid horses. And you got to have quite a few of those. Mm-hmm. You don't get a lot of those super special horses, and there's not a need for them at the smaller rodeos that we're doing. It doesn't do me any good to have they mark them horses 1 to 25. A 22-point horse is an outstanding horse. You don't you can't put a 22 in there with a bunch of 19s. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So you got to be mindful of that too, and set your pins up. You don't always buy the horses or raise the horses. Like everybody wants a superstar, a 22, 23 pointer. I bucked one the other day that they 23'd, but the guy didn't like him. He's a big old strong. They call him an eliminator. He's really not, but I mean, he just rip you out of there. And they don't even take him to the circuit finals because those guys don't want to get on him. And I think a lot of that comes from maybe back in the day where there was 20 or 30 contractors, you get on what we got.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's so many options and everybody's kind of tailoring those horses and bulls a little bit more. I mean, we can take our best bull somewhere and buck everybody off and we feel good about it. And we think we're making moves. And we helped one of the bigger contractors the other day, and he walked up, he said, "Great bulls. Let's tone it down for the next time." Because you're still putting on a show. And that's all rodeo is. We get so trapped up in what we like and how we want to be perceived of it, or I'm the big dog, I got my chest out. It's entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody wants to come and watch 10 bronc riders get bucked off or 10 bull riders get bucked off. They want to see some rides. They want to see some wrecks.
Yeah.
So you got to be mindful of that too.
That's what at the NFR, I watched every event was exciting this year. I mean, usually after the calf roping, I always like calf roping the best. So after that, the barrels and the bulls, a lot of times I didn't even watch them. Whether we were there, we would leave after the calf roping, or on TV, go to bed after the calf roping. But this year, the barrel racing kept it interesting. And then the bull riding, like you said, so many years, the bulls got so tough that everybody just bucked off. It was that's not fun to watch. And then this year, they're riding, 4 to 10 a night or whatever it was. I mean, there were some nights a lot of guys rode, and they were making good rides. It was a good show. But if everybody's just going to get bucked off, it's not very exciting.
No, it's not. And that's like a daily conversation we have, putting the right stock at the right place. And we're still kind of in our infancy where people are just now bringing us on. They know what we have, but they just changed the rule where you got to have, the rule's always been, you got to buck your horse or bull 8 times to be eligible to nominate him for the finals. Well, now they don't like that a lot of people bring in a bull partner with these heavy hitting bulls and think it's going to help. Well, it actually hurts because them guys aren't going to enter. They're like, well, I'll go over here because, Crockett's got the same amount of added money and he's got these 20-point spinners that we can go win on. Mm-hmm. It's a business deal.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say it's not a cowboy deal because those guys are, but I mean, they ain't scared to turn one out in a heartbeat. I think it's a $30 or $35 turnout fee, and they do it 2 hours for the rodeo. So, but sometimes, we have to buck our better stuff at our rodeos to get our out count. Yeah. We're not bucking. We're just bucking the things we think will make the finals. And we've got some other bulls that are maybe they're dirty or just do some old bodacious stuff and blow up and knock your teeth out. But you can't keep those around. Those are exciting for the crowd, and I call them stock contractor bulls or horses. When they roll in, the guy gets on and they're kind of shaking. You're like, oh yeah, I'm the man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then they buck everybody off and nobody wants them anywhere. And you're like, yeah, I better go back to the drawing board on that deal.
Yeah. I didn't realize, when Rocker's documentary came out and he was talking about they're entered in, 6 or 8 rodeos or whatever. And he's like, they turn out in 3 of them because he's like, we didn't draw a horse that you can go win on or place on. It's just not a good horse, whatever it was. They're like, we're not even going to those rodeos.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a business to them guys. It frustrates us sometimes. So our deal is bareback riders and bull riders. I'll get a lot of bronc riders, but they tend to like my horses because we put an even, a pretty even set of horses together. I mean, one can jump out and do something wild one way or the other, but the bareback riders are hard to get. There's just not very many of them. Mm-hmm. And then when we're putting on these smaller rodeos, you're going $1,000. If you get drawn up somewhere else better, there's 4 or 5 of them guys traveling with you. You might only have 10 anyway. And, they're only half your deal. And now you got to figure out, I got to call some ranch bronc riders or throw something together for the crowd, and a lot of guys don't. And maybe we won't after 20 years of doing it, but we're still thinking about the crowd and this and that. But no, the bareback riding deal's tough. The bull riding deal's tough. There's so many bull ridings. I mean, I was talking with Wayne Brooks the other day, the rodeo announcer, and he asked how the entries were coming along for a deal. Cause I said, we had 2,000 added every night in the bull ride, and we had a bounty bull that was up to 11,000. So you win 13,000 one night. He said, how many you get for that? I said, 0. I got 0 all 3 days. He said, well, don't feel bad. He said, we just had a deal somewhere in Oregon. He said, we had 15,000 added every night, and the money rolls over. So like if you rode that bounty bull on the 3rd night, you're looking at 6,000 plus, you're looking at $17,000 you can win. And like, they don't even think about it. And so I hustled up and called some guys and said, I'll pay you $100 to get on. And half these guys had their card. I'm like, why didn't you enter? Well, we know what y'all were bringing. I'm like, yeah, if I'm paying you, you're getting on tonight. But like, that's what Wayne said. He said, we're paying college kids to get on just because there's so many options. I mean, you go to PBRs, wherever, a lot of college rodeos, like a lot of your lower end, I call it, what we do is a smaller pro rodeos right now building, and we'll get a lot of the college kids, and they're outstanding. But they drop in a college rodeo. Well, they got to keep their scholarships, so they're going to go over there. And sometimes we'll go check all the pro rodeo schedules, because like you're trying not to step on each other's toes. I mean, some people try to step on your toes and make it difficult, but we really don't. We don't want any problems. And I won't check that college rodeo schedule.
Yeah.
And I did that one time, and it was not real good.
Yeah.
And so now I really check it and make sure them guys are there. But yeah, the bronc riding's good. The bareback riding's a little short, but like them guys, like we talked about Rocker and them, and I'm a big fan of his. Like, we're not necessarily buddies or anything overly special, but them guys have built the bareback riding deal back up, and it's really neat to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was telling when we were pinning your cows the other day, and Dalton was over there on my side, and we were talking, and I was like, even when I was in college, when the bull deal was pretty strong up there at Stephenville, like, I was like, man, if you're just not scared to get on bulls, you could go make a living. Like, you're not going to go hungry because all the stock contractors will pay you to come get outs on them. Or you could go like that, the buck and duck that was just added money and free entry fees. You could go make a week's wages, getting on some bulls that week.
I've got to tell y'all about the trailer coating company. If you have a living quarters trailer, a show trailer, or a camper, they can coat the top of the trailer to not only seal it from leaks, but it also helps insulate it from the extreme weather. I know down here when we go somewhere in the summertime, it's super hard on the AC to try to keep up, especially if you're in and out of the trailer a lot, opening the door and all that. Not only will it help with the AC in the living area, but it'll also help keep your horses or livestock cooler as well. Up to 45 degrees cooler, they claim. That is crazy. And it doesn't matter where you're located, you can contact them and they can come directly to you. Check out the Trailer Coating Company on Facebook or go to thetrailercoatingco.com to see how they can help you. You can also call Jason Holder directly at 682-284-3938.
We're doing a deal in Glen Rose right now. It'll start in January and have 2 a month for a few months. And it's the same. It's going to be just kind of like Buck and Duck was. There's 1,000 added per event every week, and more if we can get it gathered up, but no fees, and getting some stuff gone through and giving the guys a shot, but putting on a quality event too.
Mm-hmm.
All our personnel's PRCA guys. We're going to run it like it's a perf, but it's kind of nearly a practice pen type deal. That'll be good for the crowd and everything. But yeah, the bull deal kind of triggered me with the paying bull riders, and that deal kind of started. And I mean, like, I get it. Like, the only bulls I would keep back in the day is if I kept one, like, we're looking at a potential superstar type bull worth a lot of money, and he's going to buck, and he's going to buck hard, and it's going to hurt. And I need to get some trips on him. Like, I don't mind paying for that. But when you're just bucking a bunch of fresh bulls you got in that are just bulls, and the guys call and they whine around and, well, how much you paying? And I'm like, I don't know. How much money did you give me to come get on at the arena and the ranch and the feed and what the bulls cost? And we kind of ended that era with like JB and them guys. Like, I know JB put on a school one time, and my buddy was telling me this. They did it at his house, and he was getting on them for jacking around, and I don't want to get on that one. I don't want to get on this one. And He's like, y'all need to be a cowboy type deal. And he run a bull in, bucked him off. He got mad, run another one in, bucks him off. And they go through this. Like, I don't remember how many bulls there were. He goes, dude, I don't have any more left. I got all my short round PBR bulls over there. And he's like, load them some bitches now. And he got all 2 or 3 of them, and then finally rode one. He said he'd been 92 or 3, you know. And he said, that's what you need to do and quit worrying about getting paid is get on more stock.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gotten a little bougie here lately.
Yeah.
And they're like, how much? And I just hang up. I'm like, you don't want to get better. We don't want you around. You know, like we'll help anybody and love to help build these young guys and stuff because a lot of people won't do it. And we like it. But if you show up wanting money and wanting to jack around, and if you want to be serious and get a little tough about it, like we're all in. We'll ride till the wheels fall off. But if not, we don't have time for you.
That's the same story just in anything. Like nobody wants it bad enough. You know, they're not willing to work for it. You know, if you did get in, if somebody did come in and, you know, show out and be like, just whatever, I just want to get on. I want to get better. Y'all are going to treat that person better. I mean, in any business, in any rodeo event, whatever, like if you could just show that you want something really bad and you're willing to do whatever it takes to get it, like people will help you. If you get around the right people, they're going to help you and give you everything you need.
Oh, yeah. Like a good example of that. So we had a bullfighting school at the house, I want to say 2017. And Cody Webster did, he's one of my good friends, and he put it on, and my cousin calls me. It has nothing to do with rodeo. And she's like, what are you doing? We just got done with this bullfighting school. She's like, oh, man, there's this kid here in this little town where they lived in, and he wants to come fight bulls. Like, he wants to come. Can he come? I'm like, you're an hour and a half away. We've been running Mexican fighting bulls in all day. Like, we're hot. We're tired. We're about done, you know. And I was like, she's like, he really wants to, blah, blah, blah. Okay, send him on. We'll waste our time. And this kid shows up, and he's ready to go to work, and he ain't scared of nothing, and he's listening. And we're like, oh, we got something now. His name's Colt Carlisle, and he fights bulls in PBR and PRCA, and he does a great job now. And it was cool I didn't do anything to bring him along other than have some bulls and, you know, maybe some positive stuff, maybe yelling at him some. But like those are the kind of guys that, you know, will take it and go on, and that's neat to be a part of. And like we're working on going to do some schools and stuff, but you got to weed out the weekend warriors and the real deal, because the real deal's every day. Mm-hmm. You know, just like you got to show up every day. You got to want that every day. It's a lot of people don't understand what it takes. You know, like Webb told me one time, Frank Newsom brought him up fighting bulls, and he said, I broke 1 or 2 ankles. And he's like, I snapped it, like got around this bull, whatever the story was. And he said, it's bad. And his Aunt Peggy was there videoing, and Frank walked over there and looked at him. He said, hey, man, he said, the ankle looks pretty bad. He goes, yeah, I'm going to go set it out. He goes, yeah, just go grab that camera from Aunt Peggy and she can fight bulls for you. And he said, I just laced them up as tight as they would go. But like, there's a good lesson in that. I mean, for me, like sometimes I get whiny and, you know, I'm tired, and kids need me here, need me there, or whatever. And sometimes you just got to lace some old cleats back up.
Yeah. Go do some hard stuff.
Yeah.
Try to push yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a deal so just the other day was something totally unrelated, but you know, Jake Paul boxed and lost, and then Andrew Tate he had a match and he lost. But I saw a post that Tate put out after that, and he's like, I knew I was old, and like he's like, I didn't really expect to win that much, but he's like, I was kind of scared, and he's like, that's why I did it. He's like, I knew I needed to get out there and push myself to do something hard, push myself outside my comfort zone, and like go do that instead of just sitting around, you know, making a lot of money or whatever.
Sure. You know, and it's the same way with me still. I feel like I've been around, nearly a veteran at this, but in the pro rodeo deal, I'm not. And you get around them bigger guys, and there's a different energy. Like when you're around the best bronc riders or bull riders, there's an energy that it nearly takes your breath away. Mm-hmm. And it makes you want to get on their level, and they're fired up, but you're also nervous at the same time. You're like, oh man, I don't know if I belong here, or you just got to shove that aside and just get after them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. I mean, that's another recurring message is like, get around people where like, you're the lowest person. You're the you make the least amount of money, you're the most inexperienced, the dumbest person, however you want to put it, but like you're try to elevate yourself up to the next level around those people. And then, once you get there, then you can go get around some more. And like, I think that's a huge way to, to level up, to change your life.
Yeah. That biggest fish in the little pond deal, like it doesn't work for me. I'm never satisfied with that. And I'm not saying I'm ever the biggest fish in the little pond, but I want to be like those bigger guys. No, and I'm not using it as an excuse. No, we don't make 200 or 300 million a year that some of those top guys do, and they can rock and roll and do all this cool stuff, and that's awesome for them. But what can I do to get close to that?
Mm-hmm.
How can I get up there? And just exploring all those avenues, and you got to take the risk, and you get your ass kicked a lot, like 7 days a week. But you just got to show back up Monday. And no matter, a lot of times you know how it is. How many times you saddled a horse to go catch a set of cows and you're like, I hate my life today. But you just keep doing it because you love it.
Yeah.
You got to remember why you love it sometimes.
Yeah. And I think it's like people get caught up too. Like, I made a post about this today, was if you do the things that other people did, you'll get what they have. And that could go, to being poor, being in poverty or being super wealthy, or you could follow that person or this person over here. You got a choice. But I think a lot of times we get, for me, like not even that long ago, was like you'd see somebody you think was successful and you see what they do and then you go do it, but they weren't doing that when they started out. So you gotta you gotta copy what they did on the way up, not what they're doing now, because now it's different, that they have that credibility and a brand built and income coming in. They can do different things than when you were trying to build something.
If you didn't hear Ben Hell's story on episode 69, you need to check it out. He's been earning trust in the cattle industry one handshake at a time since 1995 at Western Livestock. Western Livestock is proud to be family-owned and operated, now with 5 locations: Oklahoma City, Woodward, Comanche, and Waurika, Oklahoma, and also Knoxville, Iowa. They're proud to do business the Western way, with honesty, integrity, and a handshake that still means something. You can join them ringside or stream their sales from wherever you are. Western Livestock, where a handshake is their word, cattle are money, and timing is everything. If you're looking to buy or sell, contact Ben Hale at 940-631-BEEF. That's 940-631-2333. Check them out on Facebook or westernlivestock.com.
No, that's for sure. You can get lost in the I'm not there, and just want to quit, and just don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like that one thing we're struggling on our social media side, just because you just get wore out of making content and doing. We used to build some big pages and it was really good, and I've kind of had my sucker in the dirt. Like, I'm so tired of social media and all the crap that's on it, and nobody's satisfied. Like, I could jump an elephant over the Empire State Building and rope a cow on the way down. They're like, cool, what are you going to do next?
Yeah.
And but we've got to step back up on that. We're working on that, but so.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I coach people on like social media and stuff sometimes, and I'm like you're putting great content out, you're doing the right things. Like, it just keep doing it. Like, it's just not an instant gratification deal a lot. Like, sometimes you are putting crappy content out or something, but sometimes it just, it takes some time. And then you never know. Like, I tell people that all the time too. Like, it only takes, one thing, one post, one video, and it could change your life. And, like they talked about, I was thinking about this when we were in Vegas, when I was gambling and not doing very good. But they were saying it a lot. I heard them on TV saying it a lot, was like, all you need is a chip and a chair, and it's like, that's how I think a lot. I'm pretty optimistic. It's like, man, if I can just get there, I got a chance.
Yeah, no, and that's how we look at this rodeo deal. I'm like, we got to get past this. Like, once we get rolling, people just all the time, like, I can't believe they took that horse to the finals. I can't believe this. I can't believe that. And I'm like, you're not seeing everything sometimes. And I'm like, but one day you are the guy. You're 30 years into it, and maybe they took a horse or bull that maybe didn't belong, but everybody goes to your rodeos and loves them. And you're in that position. Like, once you get to that position, you got to keep it and you got to keep working at it. But it's a lot different from being in the beginning and then looking at, one of the big guys. It's like, I love bucking horses, and you go look at Calgary's and like, mine suck. And like, well, they've been at it quite a while, with an unlimited budget, it's a little different story. You can't look at everybody. And it's the same old deal with social media. You see on there like, God, Crockett's got a new truck and a new Hughes trailer and got that new hat. It's not a Grizzly, but, and like, I can't afford that. Like, you're looking at Crockett way down the road. You didn't see Crockett in the beginning with the old rattled up Dugan that was broken half like mine was. It's just, you can't look at that. You just got to, and our deal is bad. We spin our wheels trying to be too big, too fast, and we need to bid this rodeo and that rodeo. And that's what we did this year. Is we sat down the other day and said, let's focus on doing our 3 and whatever else. Like, we got some bids out on some other stuff, and let's just get a direct path. And I'm the world's worst about, squirrel, and we're over here and we're banging something out, and like, I'm like, whoa, I was going to brand those horses today, or I was going to call Crockett today. And you don't. Like, you've got to stay that path. And I say that because I've stayed the path and it works great, and I squirrel and it doesn't work. Yeah. And we're trying to get everybody gathered back up and move in one direction, focus on one thing. And, everything's so expensive now, and like, you've got to look at everything, and you've got to pick those, like, put those rodeos on in these small towns. I've got $25,000 a night in them, plus extra expenses. And you take in $8,000 at the gate, you got to be ready for some of that humble pie and dig back down and go, like, we got to figure this out a little better way. You know, you can't do that a lot. Mm-hmm. So that's a big deal to us right now, staying focused and just drive towards one thing, and don't let anything distract you. And, like at that horse sale in Vegas the other day, I nearly get distracted and buy 2 or 3 really nice horses that don't fit anything else we got. Well, it's not going to help. It's going to hurt us more than anything, so.
Yeah, that's a problem I have too, is focus and saying no. I just, I like the chaos and doing lots of different things and not sitting still. And so then everything's kind of struggling, everything's suffering. Or like, I've noticed, like, I've got several things going on. So if I'm focused just on the podcast, my other businesses struggle. Mm-hmm. If I focus on them, then I forget about the podcast, and I'm like, oh crap, I gotta start doing this stuff. And it's like, it's tough to keep it all, straight. But if you can focus on one thing, that's,
yeah. And I think so many of us are comfortable in that chaos. Like, I know I am. Mm-hmm. When the bullets are flying, I'm like, cool, let's get it on. Yeah. But if I've got downtime, that old brain gets to running, and you're on to 78 different adventures, whether it's buying horses or cattle or equipment. And I'll get laser focused on one thing, just like you said, and forget about the 20 other things we got going. Then it all piles up, but you can handle it. Cause when you get in the gunfire, you're like, this is where I shine. Yeah. I like it when there's 10 things going wrong. Like, I get real calm, and I'm like, cool, Crockett, move to the left, Mark, move to the right. I'm going to do this. But if you just set those things up a little better, I'm learning at 37, you just keep repeating the same thing, and you're like, why isn't this working? Like, change it up. Let's focus for once on one thing and get it done and do it well. Mm-hmm. And then you'll do, because, we're optimistic. We do these 12 rodeos, and I'm like, man, all these small towns, these committees have been there. They're going to love it. We're going to have 50 rodeos. I got to buy 200 more horses and blah, blah, blah. Well, no, that's not how it works. Like, now we are from, I think we did 6 or 7 last season that we produced ourselves. Well, now we're going to do 3. And I mean, we'll do more if we win these other bids, but we're focused on 3. And I think we're going to have a lot more success. We're not going to lose the money. It's hard to stay focused for me. Yeah, for sure. And I love different ideas. Like, you bring something up, and I'm like, oh, that energy drink can. Like, I bet we could sell it in this market and do it like, like get that brand exposed over here or something. And and I'll just run all day on some wild idea, like I know I can make happen. And then when you get to it, you're like, why am I wasting my time on this?
Yeah.
Let's get back to what makes the money.
Yeah, I'm definitely the same way. I always think like this next thing. I'm like, this is gonna be huge. Just, like Trump says, it's terrific. It's gonna be beautiful.
Yeah.
And then you do it, and it's like, well, that didn't quite turn out like.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to that. It takes 25 years. Like those guys in whatever space, they didn't come up with this energy drink, and it was here for a year, and now they're billionaires. Like they had 38 other crappy businesses or ideas that they had with it that failed, and. Like, I think that's and I think social media does that a lot. You go look at, say, Pete Carr or Stay Smith's page, and you're like, golly, I'm a loser. I gotta do this and do that. And I'm like, how long have they been at it?
Yeah.
30, 40 years.
That's the great thing about like this, and then getting to talk to a lot of people in our industry, just successful people in general. And then I like to read a lot of biographies and listen to people on other podcasts and stuff. But if you learn a lot of people's stories, like, I don't care who it is, like in whatever industry, if they're successful, they had some type of story where they were about ready to quit. They were flat broke. They were negative. They were, just some type of hard type of story. Like it wasn't overnight success for anybody. And that's like the cool thing that's super relatable. Like you see these successful figures and you put them on this pedestal and you're like, man, they got it all figured out. But at one point, they might have been worse off than you. Like you're starting ahead of those people,
Yeah.
And it's just, it's cool to see that and learn that. And then also even when they are successful, you talk to them and a lot of people are just like, I mean, it's not like they're anything special. It's not like they're a whole lot smarter. It's not like they, anything. It's not like
it could have been one thing. Like one of my friends, they've got the biggest bucking bull deal in the world. And they told me how they got started. They'd buy a few practice bulls for his kid to get on, and they would send them. And then the better ones they would send to this guy that had an amateur rodeo deal. And then he didn't pay him for out money or anything for using his bulls. But at the end of the year, he would give him X amount of heifers. And he'd get to pick some heifers and one bull to breed to, whether it was one of his back or one of the other. Well, he said, I picked the bull in the pen on the left. That ends up being like this super sire that jump started their deal, and they have the best deal going, and they make they're the ones that sell the $100,000 bulls. All day long. What if they picked the bull in the right?
Yeah.
Like maybe it doesn't exist. But I think there's so much of that. Like it's just stay the course, make the best decision you can. And maybe there's some luck with it. Like I'm a Christian, love God, not a good example most of the time. But you kind of got to trust where he's leading you to.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, it's. I think it's Warren Buffett that says something along the lines of like to get lucky. First, you got to survive. Like first, you got to stay in the game long enough to get lucky.
Sure.
And if you, like you said, it may take 20 years, but if you stay in the game 20 years, then this strike of luck happens and it changes then you're overnight success. But those 20 years, you had to eat crap for it.
No, and that's a lot of people saw me in and out of things a lot. And I'm like, I just saw the writing on the wall. Like, let's sell all these bulls, or let's sell this deal we were doing, or let's, whatever, stop what we're doing here. Like we weren't quitting. We're just kind of rearranging. And with this rodeo deal, you can't, like, you gotta take the buckles and the beatings,
Yeah.
You got to take them both. And there's a lot of beatings, so many buckles, but
the one buckle makes it all worth it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. One good bronc ride or, whatever. And we really strive to I kind of got into it with a bulldogger the other day. He's kind of mouthy and not a bad guy, but he was mouthing everybody. The pickup men, they weren't doing this right. They weren't doing that right. And he said something. He said, all you got rodeo guys care about is getting your stuff to the NFR and being on the other end. And he didn't know me. And I said, what am I doing down here then? I said, I'm not even flaking my horses tonight. I said, we were short on our time to in. I said, I'm making sure it runs good. And like a lot of them guys don't understand that. Like we want every aspect. Yeah, we love the horses and the bulls. Who doesn't? But you got to make every part of it run good. And when I got done, like he was yelling and hollering, he was hot. It was about nothing. And all his buddies were laughing. They're like, that's just how he is. And I was like, look, dude, I'm down here. I said, where'd these steers come from? Oh, this guy, 'cause he has the best. I said, that's why I got them. Where'd the team ropers come from? Well, I heard they come from this, yeah, that's why we bought them. Because the guy is the best. Like, we're trying to do a good job for you. And getting around some of that too. And there's a lot of negativity in rodeo, and I wish there was a lot more positivity.
It's just in life in general. Like you never slow down to think about the other person's perspective of, where are they coming from? Like you said, and producing like some of the talking to Catch too, like producing some ranch rodeos, and I've done some too. Like, and you've got to think of, as a producer, you're thinking of the crowd, but you also want to get the best contestants and do a good job for them, so they'll come enter. Yeah. But you also want to entertain, and you got to, run everything smooth and please everybody. Whereas like on the contestant side, because I've been on that side, you're just thinking of yourself.
Yeah, that's all you're thinking
of.
And
your event, your run, yourself.
Yeah.
And so you don't care about all the other stuff, but you got to kind of be the middle guy that's keeps everybody happy.
And like there's a mentality. It seems like it's like contestant versus stock contractor.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's not like that. Like, we're not like that anyway. Like, we had a rodeo there in Goldthwaite the other day. I had, we got the good cattle, good timed event, good rough stock. We run it off quick. We had, from the first year, we, barely had a rodeo. And this time, I think we bucked 60 horses and actually had some bull riders show up. And we had probably, like Marty Yates is there, JD Struckness is there. Like a lot of we had Clay Tryon, a lot of them, I think we had 4 or 5 world champs there and 20-something NFR guys, and don't hear one complaint. We try to mitigate that from the get-go, and we try to get even cattle, and it's cattle. Like, they're going to suck sometimes. Like, somebody's going to be mad about it. But when the majority of it's good, or they're like, hey, where'd you buy these cattle from? Like, Crockett Carruthers. Oh, he's got the best roping calves in the world. Kind of hard to argue with that. Like, we're trying. We're doing all we can to mitigate a crappy experience for you, because it's got to be good for them and it's got to be good for the crowd. And I think for so long it's just been me versus you, and like you can't have a conversation without a hey, and that's kind of how this deal started. And when we got done, that guy marched off and was still mad, and he came back in about 5 minutes. He put his arm on my shoulder. He's like, hey man, I get it. Like, I was wrong. I was like, hey, not about being wrong. Like, just look at it.
Yeah.
And I'd never forget, he was laughing. We had a bareback horse, didn't want to leave the arena. He goes, that's ridiculous. Why didn't you just push him out? I'm like, yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he probably thought about that.
It all looks easy from the outside.
Yeah.
Running a ranch today means managing far more than cows. You're balancing multiple enterprises, family partners, land bases, leases, inventory, equipment, and markets that move fast. But if your books and inventories live in the checkbook, spreadsheets, or buried inside of QuickBooks, you're always reacting instead of steering the business. Ambrook gives ranchers real managerial insight, not just bookkeeping. See profitability by enterprise or location, know whether hay is paying for itself, whether stockers outperform cow-calf this year, or whether that rented pasture is worth keeping. Your balance sheet updates automatically and with ag-specific inventory management. You always know exactly what feed, inputs, and livestock you have on hand and what they're costing you. Tag receipts from the feed store, reconcile from the tractor, and eliminate the year-end scramble. Ranchers save up to 90% of bookkeeping time and finally get numbers they can trust for family meetings, lenders, and major expansion decisions. Ambrook is built for ranching complexity, not just generic small business accounting. Try it free for a month at ambrook.com/wealthy cowboy. That's AMBROOK.com/wealthy cowboy.
For sure. And you got to appreciate all the struggle. And like, I forget sometimes that, because we don't make a living in the rodeo business. I mean, if that was the case, I'd have been out of business 2 years ago. But those guys are. And you do need to treat it like you're watching that guy, be able to make his house payment or feed his family or whatever, even though that's a choice he made and he could have been a better real estate agent or owned a company, but that's what they do. So you got to make it good for them. And we really work on the ground. I mean, I got one of them rock picker, high dollar rigs, and we'll run that through arenas and stuff. We try to do everything we can not to have a bad day. And then you roll in and it rains 7 inches, So, but you try to do the best you can with it.
Yeah. What do you think? Like, if you could tell somebody to work on one thing, one skill, or develop one trait, like one thing to work on to be successful, what do you think it would be?
Focus. Like, I know for me, focus, and that's weathering the storm. That's not getting off track. And I know you asked for one, but positive people, like, we're not probably around a lot of positive people all the time. At least I'm not. And you've got to push through that and not get that negative mindset. Because when you do, everything's bad. This horse isn't, send if you're in that negative headspace and they send you a deal to look at to buy that you can make a lot of money or whatever you're doing, I don't like them. And you've just overlooked it and you're not focused on it and you're in a negative mindset. And I think that's the best thing to do is work on that positivity and stay focused.
Kind of on that same note, like what advice would you give to somebody, especially somebody that's wanting to get in the rodeo business?
Oh,
or the ranching business? I think the struggles are about the same.
You just gotta have that dog in you a little bit. You got to be mentally tough and do whatever it takes. Don't sell your soul to the devil. I'd say watch out for partners is a big deal. There's a lot of guys with the capital, and it's not a good move. We have a partnership in the rodeo company, but it's structured. Everybody's got their own part. And if there's an exit plan needed to be, we have an exit plan in place. If, something happens with you and you need to be with your family more, like, we got it. Don't rely on that one person to fund you or something, because they might decide they want to go get into big game hunting and they don't want to ranch anymore. And now you're holding the bag and you've worked for years and years at it. Maybe that's a big deal. And it's tough to get, I listen to some of your deals and I think Schaffner said, getting land anymore. Well, how are you going to get land if you don't have any money? You got to get a partner. Just watch who you partner with a lot.
Yeah.
Our business is full of partners, On our deal, you can't own outside. Like, I can't haul your horse or bull. I have to own it. And we stick to that pretty heavily. Like, you can sell a partnership kind of a deal, but everything's got to be squared away. But the partners have wrecked rodeo companies, ranches, friendships. Like, my dad used to sell a lot of real estate, and he said, this is a partner deal with 2 brothers. And, over 50 grand, they never spoke again. And he said they were like best friends. I'm like, that can sour a lot of things. So,
yeah, I think like to me, when you're starting out, like you said, you don't have anything but your sweat equity. And like, you got to take on some type of partner. The bank doesn't want to give you anything, but I think the big deal is picking the right partner, like you said, and then setting it up like you said. It sounds like y'all have kind of figured it out, like structuring it properly. This is your role. Like, if you don't do your role, then you're gonna get a deduction in your pay. Whatever it is.
Well, there's that accountability there versus, like, a lot of times it's all on you. Like, you're up all night because you realize that maybe that $1 million deal you guys are doing, he's providing the money, but you're giving the sweat equity, but you're also giving the stress equity and the anxiety equity and not spending time with your family, right? Not sleeping. That's money's not worth that. I've been there. I've been in a lot of big deals where I was in that position and I kept putting myself in that position because this one's going to break through and that one's going to break through, but they're not going to break through. Like, you got to set it up to where it works for you and start smaller. Like, I'm a kind of a wildcatter type. Like, if you tell me, like, hey, you can make money on these 2 cows, I'm like, let's buy 2,000 of them.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have the land. I got a buddy. We'll partner. You know, and you just, like, you see that optimism can just wreck you out sometimes. Like sometimes you need to maybe listen to that old timer a little bit. Yeah, I was always a lot smarter than those guys.
Yeah.
And now I'm not.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty hard headed. It took me till I'm 37 to stop doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you overestimate how successful it is and underestimate how much time it's going to take on your part when you're in that deal. And it's like, so now I try to stay focused, but if I'm going to get into something new, I'm like, it's got to have the potential to make, a decent amount of, like 6 figures or something, at least, like a decent amount of money, and then take very little of my time up. And I think a lot of people were closed-minded to that even being possible, but now I know that things like that are out there, and that's how people get wealthy, is like, you're not trading your time for money. So if you just don't do all the little stuff sometimes and just wait for the right things to come along or create the right things, then it's possible for sure.
And I think, I know this is a Wealthy Cowboy show and talk about money and doing things, but something that will eat on you for your whole life is like your kids. We were running a lot of stuff with my little girls. The oldest one's about to turn 5, and probably for the first 2 years, we weren't rodeoing, but we were still heavy. We were running them 600 plus head of bucking bulls and cows. And I know the guys that run a lot of cattle, they're like, what'd you do after breakfast? But that you're hands on all day with them. Like you're either bucking something or working something.
Not like just having them turned out.
Right. And I don't think I left the county a lot of times, and I didn't see my kids. And that's tough. Like set things up, because that's way more important. And I know you know that now. Like you're probably wishing you were back home with them now, and so do I.
Yeah.
But don't trade everything at the risk of your family.
Yeah.
That's I didn't lose mine or anything, nothing crazy. But inside it hurt.
Yeah.
So you got to find that balance for sure. And we're all the same minded. Like if you had an idea, we might jump in the truck and be in northern Oklahoma by the end of the day and checking it out. But like stay focused, remember what's actually important, and the rest of it doesn't matter.
Yeah. That's what changed my whole mindset was starting a family, and like you have those, you think of them sometimes as like battling each other, because you want to make a lot of money to provide for them, but also you got to spend time with them. And you can have both. Like people think it's either or, but you can create something to have both. And that's what, I try to take into account now, is set things up, like I said, that make some money and don't take any time, or I can include them. Like, so now if you want me to go do something and you're going to take my time and take me away from my family, where I'm not going to be at home or whatever it is, like it's got to be a good opportunity instead of just like, I'm not working for experience anymore most of the time.
Yeah. And that's something my dad and I were talking about the other day. It was a long day and everybody's frustrated about 20 different things. And I said, he said, oh, this is going on tomorrow, if you can handle that. And I was like, I can. I got stuff to do with my kids. And he said, well, don't forget this pays the bills. And I said, don't forget this ain't important when it comes to them. Them babies don't check your bank account. And don't get me wrong, like I want to leave them with way more than I'll ever, than what I started with or whatever. But like, I'd love for them to stick around the area and just want to be, like a tight knit family and things like that, just because they love it and you brought them up right. And that's something that's really important to me now. And it wasn't 4 or 5 years ago. I'm like, yeah, they're just little kids. They don't, I got shit to do.
Yeah.
And now like, it's like I said, I love to go coyote hunting, and it really pisses me off if you're not a good coyote hunter or you're doing something stupid. Well, now my oldest one, she goes, Dad, she's got a little, bow and arrow with the little sticky end.
Yeah.
She's like, let's go coyote hunting. And so I got to take her to this deer blind deal so she can actually be quiet in there. And she's not quiet, and she's shooting her arrows out the window. And the other day I was just in a bad mood, and I'm like, quit talking, quit shooting your damn arrows. And looking back, I'm like, that was the best part of the day. She doesn't care. Like she's having fun. I said, you're a good coyote hunter. She said, I'm not a coyote hunter, I'm a killer. And I was like, all right, let's take it down a notch.
Yeah. A lot of people lose sight of time is your most valuable asset. So you want to spend it wisely. That's another thing. I mean, the biggest thing I've found is like just studying studying successful people, whether you're reading books about them or get to talk to them, however you can get around them and learning from them. Like you said, taking advice from the old timers, like they probably know a thing or two about something,
Oh yeah. So
And
ask them about getting married.
Yeah, they'll tell you their regrets and like you probably shouldn't do that. You should, sacrifice a little bit of money to keep some of your time, to keep your freedom, whatever the thing is.
Yeah. Like you can get so busy being busy.
Mm-hmm.
And I see a lot of people doing that, and I fall into it a lot. Like, I got to, I got to get this. I'm like, for what? Like, you don't have to, you're just being busy. You're just moving that panel for the fourth time just to do something. Like, take a break.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mean go be lazy, but like, you're not going to get successful rebuilding the pins 48 times that day just because you're wired up about something, and don't overdo it. Like I'll get in this crazy mode where I've got these books that I don't need to read these books. Like the Power Brokers of New York, it's 800,000 pages, and I read about a quarter of it. I'm like, I'm on the stock market. Why am I reading this crap? But like you want to be so successful and consume so much knowledge that sometimes it just, at the end of the day, you don't have nothing left for the people that are the most important.
Mm-hmm.
And I do that a lot because it's like I'll listen to some music occasionally, but we're all about the same now. It's podcasts, it's books, it's audio books, it's talking on the phone. And that's another damn thing. Like I got a lot of great friends, but you can spend a lot of time bullshitting about nothing and just wasting a lot of time. And you don't have time to waste now. So trying to prioritize your time, that's probably the hardest thing a guy does, especially a squirrel guy that's like, oh, I got 20 minutes. I'm gonna go hunt coyotes.
Yeah.
I don't need to go hunt coyotes. I need to be taking care of business.
Yeah.
But just setting that up, I think too, is you get you a timeline set up and you get a schedule. And I know we hate that word and I hate that word. I'm the worst at it, but I'm trying to get better at, okay, if you schedule all this out, you can take your kids to do everything, then you can get that time in. I was listening to my dad the other day and he was kind of having one of them burnout days. And he said, I don't have time to do a gosh dang thing I want to do. And it was a little more graphic than that. And I said, dude, you got, 3 or 4 guys that work here that can run the show. You got a bank full of money. I said, go enjoy your time. And I watched that not register in those guys, of that age and that time frame, because it's work, put all the money up and be miserable. And I'm like, you got to find a way to balance that. And it's not that easy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't have an answer for it. I don't have it balanced, but now it's on my mind.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's always I always love to hear people say that you don't have time for something, and it's like you do, you just don't prioritize.
Exactly.
It's not a priority. So if you look at somebody's schedule, you're gonna figure out their priorities. The priority is either work or it's family or it's sitting on the couch on your phone or whatever it is. You can find somebody's priorities out pretty fast, and if all you got to do is change them. If you want your family to be ahead of work, then just do more family stuff, and then work can come after that. And a lot of times, I think it can take care of itself. Like you said, if you set it up right, and also like if your business can't run without you, then you just have a job. You don't have a business.
Real quick, if you're a listener of this show and you're serious about leveling up your income, your mindset, and your life in 2026, you need to join the Wealthy Cowboy VIP community. It's where the real action happens. You'll get exclusive discounts from our sponsors, VIP merch deals, early access to episodes, private Q&As, and I even pull questions from the group to ask our guests on the show. It's a crew of driven Western people pushing each other to grow. The link is in the description. Go join now and see what's happening inside.
And that's a big part of it when you don't have that structure. When you get home, like there's nothing left, and the kids, like they're the only thing. You're the only thing in the world they want, and you're just like, I want to sit on the couch and maybe have a beer or whatever, and just sit in silence. Well, that doesn't exist. So you got to learn how to show up and be there and be present. And that was hard. That was something I think we all struggle with it, and that's something we're really focusing on now. And my wife is a saint. She spends 24 hours a day with them and teaches them how to cook. They're going to be 2 and 5, but like my 1-year-old speaks nearly full sentences, and like my older one can halfway cook, and like she just works her butt off with them. And then watching that, you're like, bro, that's the important deal.
Mhm.
You know, the rest of this is just fun.
Yeah.
Like the rodeo, and it's just fun, you know. So
We always wrap up with what's your favorite restaurant?
man, I'm so weird with restaurants because I'm not a big steak guy or golly. I'm pretty solid with Mexican food.
Yeah.
That Mamacita's in Fredericksburg. Or no, is it in Fredericksburg? Somewhere around in there. The place is really good.
I like, Mexican food. I like going anywhere where like they can barely take your order, like they barely speak English.
Oh,
like,
I guess I'm going to take that back. There's a taco shop there in San Angelo. I went to college for a little while, and then I taught them everything they need to know. I can't remember the name of it, but it was the best. You just point to what you want, you know, and they're like, got it.
Yeah. See.
Yeah, it was so good. But we ate at the best steakhouse in Vegas the other day, and I'm like, I'm good. Give me some Mexican food or breakfast taco, and we're good to go.
Yeah, we always like when you go to Vegas or a big city like that, you want to try all this exotic stuff, and then you get home, you're like, I just want to go to this Mexican place in town, eat some regular food.
Eat too many chips and feel like a piece of crap.
Yeah.
And go home.
How can people find you, find the rodeo company, all that stuff, get a hold of you?
It's Wild Side Prorodeo. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Just bear with us. We're kind of rebuilding, working on our stuff a little more, but yeah, Snapchat.
And then just get a hold of you personally too, if somebody wanted to, on Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah. You can shoot us a message on there, and we'll get with you.
What about give us a rundown on the auction business? We didn't talk about that too much. Getting a hold of somebody when y'all have sales and all that. What is it?
Yeah, it's liveoak-auction.com. We usually have a sale every other month or so. We got one January 10th. It's all online. That all online's awesome. Like you don't have to deal with the people, and everything's gone that direction anyway since COVID. Like when COVID rolled in, we're kind of sitting around the office. Everybody's halfway moping around. What are we going to do? And they're like, I think we need to take it easy. And I was like, the hell with that. I said, I'd rather get my hand slapped by trying than we just sit around. And if we would have sat around, like we wouldn't be in here talking about anything we're doing right now. That it exploded through there. Like if you had the stones to keep going, and we just doubled down and went for it, and it was crazy. Like the craziness is kind of wearing off now. Like equipment's kind of backing off, but it's never going to back off like it was. I should have had my hand slapped for buying some vehicles during that time. I got some stuff I got to keep forever now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the auction has been great. You know, and that's another deal of 38. I think he started it when I was maybe the year before I was born or something. But like I said, we used to have, if we had sold $50,000 worth of equipment, we could go eat a steak that night, and it was a good day. And our last sale wasn't our biggest sale or nothing. It was $2 million, you know, so it's really come a long way. It just took a lot of time. Every
time I go by there's always a bunch of stuff, and just anything you want, from new pieces of equipment to used stuff to ranching stuff to landscaping to whatever you want there. Y'all have.
Yeah. We used to sell the big, articulating tractors and your 30-foot grain drills, and people don't farm like that down here. We've got a lot of the people from Dallas, Austin, Waco. They're coming up. They want a skid steer. They want some implements. They want a 45-horse tractor to putt around, or a small tractor to put out hay with. And then we get the nice, water troughs, the nice panels, it's kind of more ranchette stuff on a lot of that. But it's stuff we all use anymore. I mean, I don't know a lot of people that are running 100,000 acres anymore that need that kind of stuff. So, that's what you're used to, and that's what you want to sell. And that's who you want to deal with. But times have changed, and we've got a great set of customers now. And I mean, we'll have 600 or 700 bidders usually. And I mean, stuff goes to Mexico, Canada, New York. I mean, all over the place. The internet's done wonderful things for that.
Yeah. Cool. Well, y'all go check out Wild Side Rodeo on all the social media platforms, Live Oak Auction, Chase Love also on his personal pages. We'll see y'all next time.